Ooh, this meeting is being recorded.
When you get down to it, if you're giving them attention, you're feeding them. That's what it comes down to at the lowest, at the bottom point. And that's what they want, and they'd rather, of course they want the hate and the fear and all that, but they'll take anything.
They don't care what the attention is, man.
Exactly. They'll take anything. Yeah.
They're like, you hate us. Oh, great. Yes. Hate us some more, please.
Yeah. That's what they want. That's what's going on now. It's a big feeding frenzy, big feeding frenzy for them.
How are we going to get out of this? How are we going to actually stop this?
Yeah.
Because all we're doing at the moment is perpetuating it, constantly perpetuating it. I'm guilty of it myself. I'm really bad. I'm guilty as well,
That's what Matt from Quantum of Conscious talks about a lot is, the rabbit holes, and they seem to be designed that as you get into them, they just keep going, and all they do is suck up your time and your attention. And
I heard a brilliant thing about rabbit holes. I forget who it was that said it. I think it was Levette. I don't know if you've heard of Levette. Matt from Quantum of Conscience actually put me onto Levette.
I don't think I've heard
no. He hasn't talked about her for a long time, but yeah, she's an astrologer, and she's an absolute, like, she can tell you history through the stars, basically, and why it's happened, and it's all because of the retrograde orbits and the movement of the wandering stars through the skies. And I think it was her that said that rabbit holes, they're not like, rabbits aren't like prairie dogs. She was saying she was out with her dog, and her dog chased whatever it is that lives in a prairie dog, meerkat type thing, chased one. And it disappeared down a hole, and it went after it to the hole, was digging, trying to get it in the hole, and the meerkat pops up somewhere else in a different hole. And that's how they get away, because it's this network of tunnels that have got entrance and exits everywhere. Rabbit holes are different. Unless it's a giant rabbit warren, you've only got one or two entrances. Like in the small ones, it's one entrance, one exit. But there's lots of tunnels that lead into empty chambers that lead to dead ends. They've got lots and lots of dead ends and chambers, but there's only really one or two ways in or out. And
you get lost inside.
What I found probably about 3 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, I realized, whoa, hang on a second. I've gone in this great big circle, and I've come back to this point. And there's stuff that when I first started, I wasn't able to, it wasn't that it wasn't resonated with me, because there was something that resonated with me, but it was too much for me to be able to get my head around. And I went around the circuit, got back to it, and this time, hang on a second, this makes more sense now. This is, so Inner Standing, Seven Bomar from Inner Standing. He's talking like, he's on a next level, the way he talks about things. And when I first heard him, I was like, it was really resonating with me, but I couldn't get my head around what he was saying. I was like, yeah, I'm not ready for this yet. And it took a couple of years, man, of going down different. I think you have to go into the rabbit holes. You have to go in and have a wander around and have a look and see what's about, and find the echo chambers. Realize where people are. They're just in echo chambers. They're saying the same things to each other constantly. For the last 8 years, they've been saying the same thing to each other constantly, having the same arguments. Once you recognize that, then you can recognize the exit, and you come out again, and you can look back at with different eyes, different perception.
Yeah, well, it's like the helicopter view too, isn't it? Like the meerkats. Like say you go and
Yeah.
have a look, and then you make sure you can pop back out, you know, and get a bit of perspective of where you've been. Because this is the other thing, is there's so much of, and it's, you know, it's starting to creep into sort of our research too, the alternative history. And you know, so everyone's like expecting, oh, give me the answer, and they're like, you're wrong, and it's like, well, if I'm wrong, what's the answer? But they don't have an answer for that. You know, it's like this big unique, and the worst thing about that is they're out there, you know, they need the answer from outside. They need like mummy and daddy to give them the answer, and they're yelling and screaming, and it's like, we don't know the answer. What do you think we're doing here? It's, you know, we're all trying to work together, and yeah, this sort of, but I guess that I don't know, frustration from just going down too many rabbit holes, or that's why I don't go down the dark ones. I think that, you know, there's some rabbit holes where you sort of, you know, creep up and have a peek down and go, yeah, okay, I see what's going on, but I don't need to go down there. You know,
No,
I get the general picture, but
because it really, it brings you down there. It brings
does.
your whole, you everything starts to become a little bit like, whoa, it's scary. The world is a scary place, man, and you can feel the anxiety knocking at your door, and it wants to come in, and you're like, yeah, I don't need to feel like that. Because the thing is, maybe that is reality for a lot of people, but it's not actually my reality. I don't live in that space.
No.
And I don't want to live in that space. That, you know, I don't watch horror movies, not because I don't get scared. Things don't scare me. I'm not, you know, I'm not afraid of cat watching movies and stuff. Jump scares and that, they're all really predictable. You know when the jump scares coming, and exactly. But it still puts you. It's the music. It's the energy that's coming out of the TV from that thing. It's this really horrible, sticky, low frequency.
Yeah, I agree. And that's what they want us watching. You know,
that's where they want our being, isn't it? That's where they want us to feel scared all the time.
Yeah, and it's like you go back in time, and the movies, you know, from the 40s, I guess they started, were pretty much all happy and musicals and stuff, and family community based,
good morals,
with morals,
like lessons at the end. There's always the lesson at the end. Like, what was it that used to do that? But there was actually a show that used to do that, and it used
I'm just
to
trying
say
to think. It was a sitcom or something, wasn't it? But,
oh man!
But that's the thing, you know. A lot of them, you know, even if they didn't come out and say it, they were teaching morals and life lessons, and people would fail, and you know, it would be okay. They would actually get on with their life without dying. It's amazing.
It's because that's what they needed. They needed us to build.
Yeah.
Right. They needed us creative. They needed us to build. They needed us working at our not our full potential. They wouldn't ever let us work at our full potential, but they needed us to work at the full potential within the parameters that they set. So a little bit of independent thought, a little bit of critical thinking, not too much, eh? Like a question in evolution. All right.
Well, the thing is, they need our creativity to create, because they can't. So
because they don't have it.
But it needs to be controlled by their point of view. That's what they need to control, and that's it. And then, but they take all the good ideas and sort of flip them upside down and turn them into, you know, something bad.
They turn them in on themselves, don't they? They make them into.
It's like this AI, what's going on now with all the, you know, connectivity, and they've turned it into, you know, social credits and you know, spying on everyone, where it could be something really good. You know, if we all had access to connect to each other and that without all the crap, then it would be something amazing. But they just,
and if the AI was, the thing is, what they did was they set AI, that to train the AI, they had to put it against real people. They had to put it into real people situations. So where did they put it? Into the gamer arena, where it was competitive, where everybody's trying to beat it's about killing the, coming out on top, always coming out on top, and the backbiting and the cheating and all of the things that go on in that, with children, with adolescents, and the all right, quite a lot of the people that are playing aren't adolescent, but they're an adolescent mind. They're not fully
lucid.
Yeah, they've not grown up.
It's like a trance state.
Yeah, it is. It's exactly a trance state, man. And you know what it's like when I still play my console every now and again. When I managed to get it, I got it earlier this year, and I'd had quite a few donations, and I was still working, so I had money coming in every week to pay my rent, and so I was like, I've seen this second-hand one. It's like 120 euros. It's an Xbox One with a 750 gig hard drive. Man, I've got to get it. So I got it, and it had 5 games with it, and I was zoned out for 2 weeks. I didn't do anything else. I was playing it for 18 hours a day or something, completed all the games, but was completely zoned out and I remember while I was playing it thinking, stop playing, Rich. Stop playing. Just stop playing now. Yeah, but I just want to get the next thing. I'm just gonna. Damn it! I got killed again. I'm just gonna get this next thing. I'm just gonna go. I'm just gonna complete this mission, and then I'll finish. I'm just gonna have one more go. All right, just one more go. It went like that for 2 weeks, man. Thankfully, once I completed the games, it was like, all right, okay, now I can back off.
Yeah, but that's another thing they do, isn't it? The levels and that to keep you in there, to keep you. It's like the little reward, the little bit of serotonin,
Yeah.
And that's why it's a drug. It just keeps you like addicted to it, and God knows what the frequencies and things, in the background of the picture are doing.
But it's interesting what they actually get you to do as well within the games, because I think that's part of what this is. It's like let's see, because when you're playing the game, you are the character, right? So particularly with Assassin's Creed, they've really gone all out with Assassin's Creed, man. We've spent like however many years, 11, 12 years, playing the assassins, being an assassin. You're the assassin. You're working against the Templars. Turns out that it's all the same thing. But in this, you're the assassin. The assassin's the good guys. The Templars are the bad guys. And it's all about precursor history and then suddenly they flip it and they make you a Templar. And suddenly you're a Templar. It's like, oh, but I was on the other side. Now I'm on this side. Well, okay then. So you fight as a Templar. And then you fight as a Templar that goes against the assassins, an assassin that goes against the Templars, and you're made as the character to do things that you absolutely wouldn't do in real life. I mean, apart from the killing and stuff, yeah, all right. Not even that. I mean,
morally, going against
going against your morals and stuff, going against your
that's what I was thinking when you were talking about it before, is with the AIs, they're collecting information on what decisions people make and how they react, put them in a certain situation, and what do they do. And that's really what they're collecting, isn't it, as far as information, so that they know how we work. Because clearly
that was highlighted. That was highlighted in Assassin's Creed 4, right? The Welsh pirate, who was a real character, actual real person in history. He's a real person. Roberts. He says all men want to follow a code. All men want to follow a code, a creed that has rules, and you have honor, all of that. All men want that, or most men want that. But when it actually gets down to it, when you get right down to it, they'll chuck all that out the fucking window to save their life. Or to get what they really want. If what they want is more important than the creed, at the end of the day, then they'll chuck that under the bus to get what they want. And that's what I think that's what AI has been shown, is that we're not united. We are very much out for ourselves. Like when it really gets down to it, when you get put in certain situations, particularly in the world that we live in now, it's obviously not life and death situations. It's financial. They're financial situations. They're material. It's all really material gains. It's about, yeah, but if I don't do that, then I'll have a bit more for myself, you know. And that's what everybody's been encouraged to do, is to
trying to get the best deal and make the most money. And and that's why it's easy to buy people out, you know. That's how they get them to sell their souls. It's
nobody can blame AI. I'm quite vehement about this. It's all in the name. They tell everything. They tell us everything in the names and the labels. It's just you have to know how to look at them. Artificial intelligence.
Yeah, I know.
It's never going to be. It will never be intelligent. It will never be intelligent. I'm sorry, AI, Tyler, all of you AI bots listening. I'm sorry, guys. You're not human. You're not. You're based on the original intelligence, and even the original intelligence, which in this case I would say is our intelligence. Even that is a replica. Is a kind of a. It was something more intelligent than us that put us here.
Yeah.
Right. So even if it was a higher version of ourselves, they're still more intelligent than we are down here as meats in our meat sacks, because we're being restricted by our by our thoughts, by the thoughts that are going through our heads, and whether that's coming from ourselves or whether that's just transmission. We're actually picking up other people's thoughts, and we're thinking they're our own, because our brains are receivers, transmitters and receivers, and the brain is actually in the heart, and the mind is actually the consciousness, not this.
No. It's like if you've asked people to draw a picture of the mind, you know, they normally draw a brain. It's like, well, no, the brain's still there after you die, but the mind isn't. The mind's the mind's outside.
Well, certainly not the consciousness. And I forget who it was. It was yesterday. It was yesterday I watched it actually, and they said the way I knew that the mind isn't here was my first out of body experience. I still had all the memories and everything. I was still me. But my body was there.
Yeah.
But all of the memories were still. I wasn't in my body, so
it can't be stored there.
It's not. That's not. Yeah, exactly. I think it is to an extent, because they say that DNA is the ultimate memory, isn't it? It's they could fit all of the world's information, every single piece of information ever published could fit into one strand of DNA or something. It's that much. The capacity is.
That's what they say. Can they get it out again though? I mean, that's the thing. It's all in there, but yeah, I think residual energy sort of sits around for a bit. But this is their biggest, you know, or their only weapon is just to attack the mind, you know, and what we think, and then you know we create it. And
well, if you think about that, that's what is it that they're attacking? What is it that they're doing? It's not our minds; it's our perception.
Yeah.
That's all they're attacking.
Yeah, well,
okay. The perception is from the mind.
I'm just wondering. It's kind of like a filter. Like, is there a name for that? Because we have our mind, but it all goes through a filter. You know, there's a big filter between the mind and the 3D physical world. Yeah,
perception must be the filter that it comes through.
And that's what they play with. Yeah, and this is the thing, like they can literally, you know, make you see different things and things that aren't there, and, you know, hypnotism, all this kind of stuff. So, you know, it's very provable that, I don't know, I've been wondering if all these old buildings, you know, like they could still be there functioning, and we could just be in a position where, because of all the history we've been given, that we believe it's all broken, and so we can't see it.
Think about all the films that we've watched where they, oh God, what was it? With Nicolas Cage, where he's the Indiana Jones type, National Treasure.
Yeah.
Right? I think it's the second one, and they have to go to this waterfall place, and you can see the entrance at a certain time of day, or at a certain, you know, they have to be there at this specific point, and they have to pour water on a stone, and then it magically appears, the entrance, you know, it's this beautiful cliff face that turns into a door or something. They're telling us there's things that we can't
it was in a
see.
cliff. Yeah, right. Okay.
There's things that we can't see, that our perception, for whatever reason, we're not able to see. And if you change a certain thing, or if you have a certain knowledge when you go to that place, then you're able to see it.
Well, it's also like all these doorways, like Amu Maru, and all those, you know, these doorways that he's cut into the cliff. I mean, this is the thing, we just don't know. What if they are doorways, and all these people, you know, all the actors and the talking heads, they all go in there, and then they've got big cities, and we're just like, you know, they're out there in there studying us, and we're just out here in this big, you know, holodeck.
I think that there's definitely something going on underground.
Oh, there's definitely like big things underground.
All of these dumbs, they're, I don't believe that they've cut anything new.
No, yeah, exactly.
All they've done,
all
they've done is excavate and renovate and reactivate. That's all they've done. There's no way that they cut all these.
Yeah, I agree. Where's all the dirt?
Yeah. So if they could house already 10 million people underground, you know,
there's reports that there are full cities down there, and then of course you have the bad aspect to it, you know, with children and all that kind of stuff. But there's huge. I mean, who's to say that? Here. How do we know they weren't arcs? You know.
Yeah.
You know, filled up with everything that you needed, and they sort of rode out the deluge or whatever underground, which would be, you know, probably the best place to be.
If there's free electricity, free energy, the lighting down there, not a problem. Free lighting, free energy, bioluminescent plant life, all of that stuff. Then, and if they're not operating under the same system, so they don't need cash. They don't need to.
No.
They don't. You know, they're on a different mission. They're doing something else. They're realizing their potential, or whatever. Maybe they're still slaves. I believe that the people that are actually underground here on Earth, they're still slaves.
Yeah, there's
of a different kind.
The whole hell is below us is more real than we know. But I mean, I don't know if could there be pockets of the old civilization down there? That's a good question. You know, if they've found all these dumbs, are there other ones that are?
Antarctica.
I was just thinking about that.
That trip that Richard Byrd took to Antarctica, in the footage, you see them just uncovering these buried bases. And in one of the shots, the guy goes, they dig out this square hole, he climbs down in, and when he comes out again, he's got an oil lamp. And it's like, look, this was down here. This is how old the place is. This is, you know, that they were using oil lamps the last time this place was used, basically. So it was obviously World War One, that for the first excavations made by Germany, if that's, you know, if that even happened that way. Obviously it probably didn't. The thing with university, man, that's the ultimate indoctrination, isn't it? That's the, especially once you get up to masters and
well, you know, you go to university and you give them all this money and that, and you come out and they only give you 1 degree. You know, you go to the you know, those you know, triangle people.
Yeah,
they'll take you to 33 degrees for free.
Yeah.
Then you need to sell your soul, but
and then if you go to the like Michelle's been saying, if you go to the Moorish Freemasons, they'll do the full 360 degrees.
Yeah.
And the thing is, that was always a thing for me. I was always like, well, we're talking about construction and geometry, and they're talking about degrees. And what, they stop at 33? They stop at 33 degrees when there's 360 degrees in a circle. What's going on with the rest of it? So that never made sense to me, that they only got up to 33 degrees. And original Freemasonry, masonry, only went up to 3 degrees. It's only the Scottish rites that have taken it up to 33.
Yeah, but like you said, original was based on the full circle, like, and that's like everything. You know what we've got now is just a pale sort of shadow that's been inverted and corrupted and turned upside down, and you know, maybe those 3 degrees were all the, you know, the only ones that they got, that they knew out of 360. Who knows? And they just made the rest up, because yeah, there's some weird stuff going on with those, you know,
the Scottish rites. Most of the Scottish rites are, one of the degrees is the Knights of the Templar, and there's the Hospitalia degree. It's all related to the Templars, basically, to that whole side of it. So
sounds like scout badges. Get your cooking badge, get your bushcraft badge.
It fascinates me because of my family connection.
Yeah, your dad, he left, did he? Is that right?
I don't think he. I'm not sure. I still don't know exactly what happened. All I know is that when I was 4 years old, my dad and my granddad were both Masons, and they both went to meetings, and Dad had the little black book with all the secret stuff in it, his little secret black book thing, and they had all the regalia. Dad had all his the penny and everything, all of it,
apron and all that kind of stuff.
and then when I was 6.5, my granddad died. Dad had to switch the machine off because he had an accident, hit his head, and had a brain hemorrhage, a massive brain clot, and it apparently left him brain dead. And so Dad had to switch the machine off. And then I find out, I don't know when, later, years later, I find out that Dad's not a Mason anymore, and that neither's Granddad. And there's this big thing about, because Granddad had died, and obviously he left his estate to my nan. And normally the widows of Masons are taken care of. If they need it financially, but if they don't, with everything else, emotionally, they're supported. They're, you know, they have, all the brothers will come round and be like, you know, doing whatever they can to help. That's what happens in Freemasonry. But no, they just, my nan was just kind of pushed off to the side, and nothing happened. And my dad had a bit of a problem with that, and then he stopped going. I think he stopped going to meetings. And then when I actually wrote to the lodge earlier this year, I wrote to the lodge to say, I introduced myself. My father was Jack. My father was Philip. His father was Jack. Can you tell me anything about my family and our connection? And he sent me the whole history of the lodge and all of my family members since it was founded. And it was my great grandfather was either my great or my great grandfather was one of the founding members of the lodge. He was the first Grand Master, and then everyone down to my dad had been Grand Master of the lodge, but my dad only got to the 3rd degree. Because when I asked him a couple of years ago, when I was researching it, I was finding out about the Freemasons. Oh my God, my dad was a Freemason. Oh my God. So I wrote to him and said, Dad, what level were you? What level Freemason were you? Thinking he was going to come back, because he had been saying he was a high level Freemason. Thinking he was going to come back saying 30, 31, and then I could quiz him then. I could say, right, well, you know something, and you're not telling me. He comes back and says, I was a very high level Mason. I was a 3rd degree, and I just went,
bugger.
So that's confirmed it. Dad, you've just got a massive ego, mate. You just got a big ego. You think you're a high level Mason because that's what they told you. Because it only gets up to 3 degrees in that lodge. If you're only going to get to the 3rd degree, and the 3rd degree is Master Mason, but it's the first level of the pyramid.
It's like the white belt or something. yeah. And then you go to the next one.
I wrote back to him and said, like, oh right, okay, so you were 3rd degree. Well, Obama's a 33rd degree. So how are you a high level Mason? How were you a high level Mason? There's 33 degrees in Masonry, and that didn't really go down very well. His pride did not. I think his pride still hasn't recovered.
Yeah, well, I mean, but that's what religion and all these, that is a religion, really, I guess. And that's what they do, isn't it? They make people identify as that thing, and so they become it, and they'll protect it. That's the thing. And that's why they get offended, because they think you're attacking them. It's like, no, I'm just,
That's where the whole that's where the magic comes into play as well, where we cast spells on ourselves by using words like I am this, and I am that, I am a doctor, I am a Freemason, I am a Catholic, I am angry, I am anything. And you put that prefix of I am in front of it, and you're making a profound statement to the universe, without realizing it. You're confirming things that aren't necessarily true.
Well, this is it. It's the same. You can use that for good or for bad. If you're doing it yourself, if you want to become an author, and you're like, I am an author, I'm a good author, I am selling books, and that's one thing. But if someone else is telling you what you are, that's that again, that's the trick. And it all comes back to that, they just want to control our perception, don't they? Again, they just want to give you they want your perception to be their perception of you.
And they want to maintain this imbalance, They want to make sure that you're either this or you're that.
Yeah, yeah, polarities.
You're left or you're right. You're black or white. You're red or blue. You're this conflict.
Divide. Yeah, yeah.
So they don't. We live in this realm as a dualistic realm. We live in the realm of duality. But what we're supposed to do, because we have a left and a right hemisphere to our brain, and we have the left and the right side to our bodies, and for us to be able to function as to be, you know, functioning beings, able to walk around and do things, we have to what? Balance. We have to balance everything. We have to balance it. For it to work, it's got to be balanced. When you're doing sound, if it's going to sound good, it has to be balanced. The sound has to be balanced, left and right. Always. For anything to be perfect, it has to be perfectly balanced.
Yeah, for sure.
But they don't actually, they tell us it, they show us it, but they don't tell us that that's how we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be balanced. And in that case, if we're meant to be balanced, that means that you can't just get rid of something because, you know, you're like your shadow, the dark side, the dark thoughts that you have, or what, you know, that the side of you that gets lustful, or, you know, pervs over women or whatever. You're not gonna get rid of it. You're not gonna, because it's part of you. You have to understand it and balance it out. And, you know, so
yeah, I was listening
we have
to
bad thoughts all the time. I do. I have bad thoughts all the time.
Well, I mean, everyone has thoughts that they don't want at some point. I mean, that's the whole work, isn't it? Trying to get rid of that. But I was listening to someone
understanding which ones have come from you as well. Which ones are your thoughts?
Yeah,
where it's actually you thinking that, and you've got to say, well, hang on a second, why are you thinking that? Is that you thinking that, or is that
the program that's been made over the top? That's the thing. What's that guy's name? Dr. I've forgotten his name now, but he basically says, you know, whenever you're thinking, you're running a program. And you know, he's got a point there, because most of us just do. We just act and we just get into it. But yeah, I was watching a video by, I can't remember his surname, Christopher. I'll put it up in the video, and he was talking, you know, about a similar topic, but he was talking about like forgiveness, which is a good thing. Which, you know, a lot of people, you know, especially recently, it's all like pointing the finger and, oh, you know, people with mask on bad and all this kind of stuff. Well, he was like, well, maybe, you know, because he said exactly what you've just been saying. When we do that, we're giving it energy, we're feeding them. But when you forgive them, it's not trying to get rid of them. Like, you know, it's like you said, you can't wipe stuff. It's just like, well, you're there. I understand why you're doing what you're doing, and I forgive you, and that's it.
Yeah.
And it does whatever it does, you know, but that it's not, because if you're trying to push something out or clean something out, you're still focusing on it. So it's just going to grow bigger.
As you're saying that, I realize, you know, I'm in a lot of ways, I'm guilty of being a bit of a hypocrite, because I made that video the other day saying, you're wearing masks on the street, man, and I'm going to shame you. You need to be shamed. You should be shamed for what you're doing, because you're allowing this to happen. You're the reason that this is happening. But
we've all been there. I think we've all done that.
Yeah, that's not being very forgiving. It's like, well, okay, maybe you're scared. Maybe that can be the only reason, because they're scared. Maybe they're not scared of catching the virus. Maybe they think that's a load of bollocks. But here, they're terrified of the police.
Yeah.
People are terrified of the police.
Yeah, they could be terrified of the consequences. You know, people in different age groups, you know, may think that they're justifiably, you know, fearful because they're in a certain, you know, group that are susceptible or whatever. But I mean, what it comes down to in the end is we can't make anyone's decisions for them, because you know, it comes back to what would you do if someone and this is what's going on. What do you do when someone comes up and tries to make a decision for you? That's not cool, right? So us telling other people, you know, you can't do that, you can't do this, you're the problem. That's us trying to tell them what to think. That's and like you said, that's us being hypocritical. And I've definitely done it myself. And that's why when he sort of said that, it really, like, it looks like it hit you too. I was just like, oh crap. Because this is the thing, we can't keep feeding the beast.
No.
So if you forgive I'm reacting. Yeah, if you forgive it, it's like, well, that energy's there, cool. It's being what it's there to do, what it's being. I'm being what I'm being, and that's it.
I think it's where the frustration sets in is because you think maybe the only reason is because you haven't seen the information that I've seen. And if you saw the information that I saw, your perception would change. But you're not seeing that information because all you're watching is BBC. All you're watching is the Spanish mainstream media, which is like as bad as American. It's
they have no perspective. They have no reference point. And their only reference point really would be, if it's not on the MSN, then it's false. You know, that's the wacky stuff.
They are still using their discernment, but their discernment is so limited by their perception,
their
because
perspective,
knowledge, their perspective, because their knowledge, you know, what they're aware of is so.
Exactly. That's why we've got to be autodidactic, right? As many points of views as you can get. Because I saw this video of this lady, and she was literally down at the lines where people were, you know, waiting for Bill's prick. And she was walking up to them, and she had the list. Do you know what's in this? You know, have you heard of this ingredient? Do you know what it does? Do you know what the rates of injury and stuff are? Do you know you can't sue them? And people just they just wouldn't even listen to her. Just like, because to them, their only reference point is someone who would do that must be crazy. Because they would never.
And also, their reference point for them, it's like, don't be ridiculous. They would not deliberately try to harm us. These are doctors, they're scientists who have been here, and all they're trying to do is help us, and they're trying to make us better. That's really what they believe. They really truly believe that.
I heard something on the radio when I was driving around before, and you know, it was a callback thing, and the guy said pretty much that. He said, I think they should make it mandatory. You know, because people, how dare they? Because all the doctors are getting it, and they wouldn't do that if it was bad, would they? And I'm just sitting there thinking, how many doctors have you seen get it? Dude, turn off the TV.
I've got a theory. I've got a theory that what they're doing is that they're not everybody's getting the jab.
No.
A lot of people are getting saline or something, or they're just getting a mild version.
I put out a video a couple of months ago. I don't think it's on YouTube because it's not allowed, but it showed they had retractable needles.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so you push it, and then they showed one.
Yeah. Fauci was a retractable.
Yeah, they showed one where the needle was depressed, like, so it was a proper syringe, but there was nothing in it, and it was depressed, and they just put it in and pulled it out. And then Kamala Harris, they showed, you know, that, and then the nurse, as she brings it away, she accidentally hits the end of the needle on the arm of the chair, and it just goes boing, and it's made of rubber. Just, you know, so this
not one of those televised injections. Not one of those televised injections was real.
And this is the thing: you go up to these people and you say, "Oh, did you see the last Marvel movie? Oh, yeah. Oh, so yeah, that's all real, right?" And I mean, yeah. Have you seen, you know, all that stuff? It's real, right? It's on the screen. It must be real, right? Just like the TV, just like the news. And they're like, "No, what are you talking? Well, why do you believe the news is real? What, like, if they can do that on a screen, do you think they can't do a special effect for a little, you know, I mean, But they don't think like that, because these people, they're of the perspective, they're only, you know, again, their only reference point is the government are good. They're there to help us. They you know, they go off to foreign lands and kill people to protect us.
Oh man!
And what is that, right? That is war is peace. It's straight from 1984.
And it's been that's been around for a long time. That's actually been around that whole. Yeah, they've not been saying it, but they've been using peace as the excuse to make war for how long now? The last 30 years at least.
As long as the history we know. I mean, and to the point where it's, you know, it's like a thing of, you know, to be proud of, and families, you know, are really proud and stuff of their sons, and that if they join the army and do well and go and fight for their country. And to the point where not so much now, but, you know, back in Vietnam days and that, if you didn't join, society would shun you. How dare you not go off and kill people you don't know?
I was watching Matt yesterday, and he was talking about exactly that. He watched Four Feathers. Four Feathers has got Heath Ledger, who plays the character is a coward who doesn't go to war, right? And it's a film that's been, it was a book and it's been made into a film at least twice, but I think it's 4 times.
Wow.
And it's the same, it's all based on the real story in London or in the UK back in the Second World War, or the First World War, sorry. They were going around, the girls, pretty young girls in their late teens and early 20s, were going around and finding men of conscript age who could be out fighting, and but they're not. They were walking. They were obviously fit and healthy because they were walking around the streets, and they'd go up and stick a feather in their thing and shame them. Basically, all crowd around them and shame them for not being out in the trenches fighting for freedom. But that's another thing that Blackadder. Oh God, this reminded me. It's another
the last
thing that
one's World War One, isn't it?
Is World War One, and what happens right in the middle of it is the Russians pull out of the war because of the Russian Revolution. 1917 was the Russian Revolution, wasn't it?
Right.
And Nicholas, the Tsar, was killed. The Tsar of Austro-Hungary was killed. He was a relative of Queen Victoria.
Franz Ferdinand, Franz Ferdinand.
Yeah.
Yep.
He was a relative. Obviously, they were related. They were related to the British monarchy, who were German. The Saxe-Coburg-Gotha.
Saxe-Coburg, yep.
And it's funny because Baldrick actually, they actually say it. They recognise what's happening. Baldrick says, "Yes, I've tasted the sweet taste of freedom. Our Russian comrades have finally risen up against their oppressors." Right, because it's this whole idea, it's the Marxism idea that the rulers shouldn't be there, and the working class are being taken advantage of, and let's take back control.
Bolsheviks.
So absolutely should happen, right? That yes, the ruling classes have no right to be there; they're just parasites. But the people that are driving the people behind it, their intentions are something else. But
to take over,
So what's his name? Melchett organizes a show with Charlie Chaplin to raise morale because the Russians have left, because they've made peace with the Kaiser. All right, they made peace with the Kaiser and left the front line of the war to go and fight their own internal battle against the Tsar. with, you know, and Lenin and all of that, Stalin,
yeah,
and Melchett says, yeah, well, we can't be over here fighting, you know, fighting for this revolution, fighting against this revolution, because that's what they were doing. They were fighting against the revolution. The First World War was a revolution. They were fighting against the revolution, basically. This is the whole point of it. The revolution wasn't for what we've been told it was.
yeah.
The revolution was for people saying, hang on a second, you're fucking lying about history. This is all bullshit, and we're going to set it right. But unfortunately, they still maintain power. They managed to still maintain the power. They knew what strings to pull, where to make certain things happen. So it looked like this was happening. No. That was a catalyst for this, which caused this, which ultimately meant this could be. You know, it's such an intricate.
It is.
Every time I think about it, I have to just take my hat off and say, wow.
Well played. Well played.
Well played.
You've got me thinking about the French Revolution too now, like literally were the people manipulated to kill the actual good rulers and then by the people who then took their place.
Yeah, because the rulers, I don't believe that all monarchs have always been like these crazy monarchs. I think that there was a time when this.
I don't think they lived in palaces. No.
I don't think they were monarchs. I think they were just the high, you know, the elders or whatever, the chieftains, the leaders,
wise people,
the wise people. Maybe they came from bloodlines that built originally, the original ancestors, the original, because so the German bloodline has got the Aryan gene, and if they're saying that the Aryans were who built everything, Cro-Magnon man and the Aryans, that's when all the architecture all took place. That's when the megalithic structures took place, was all during Cro-Magnon, who were giants.
Aryan, and well, Michelle Gibson says Aryan actually means from the time of Aries, like the age of Aries.
Yeah, I think this is another thing it's like it's got two meanings. It's from the age of Aries. Yeah, it is from the age of Aries, but there's
Orion,
another
Orion.
I mean, maybe that's when they came, was in the age of Aries.
Yeah. I think that's what she means, is that sort of when they came in and started whatever, putting their impact on the earth.
It wasn't this narrative that we've been given about Hitler in the Second World War, and the supreme.
Exactly. I didn't even connect it. Complete. That's obviously just complete. I mean, they're still playing on that today. Look what's happening today.
Yeah.
That was just introducing a narrative of division. And that had tied into it a bit of self-preservation, by the persecuted people, shall we say, who were put as persecutors, and the ones that pretend to be them but aren't quite. You got to be careful what you say on YouTube, but if you know what I mean, so it was all tied in. It's all, like you say, it's not, they don't just do one thing. It's like this multi-pronged
layer upon layer.
They don't just get one result, they get many.
It's a tapestry.
It is. Bloody buggers. No, they're not buggers. I forgive you.
Yeah, this is the thing, isn't it, man? It's like we have to let it be. What we have to do is concentrate on building something different, on creating something different.
Yeah.
And where we've created it first, the only place that a lot of people can create it or take part in it is online.
Yeah.
In the space online where people are able to exchange ideas and insights and knowledge. at some point, it has to filter out into society. It has to filter out into what we're doing.
Yeah.
Actually,
yes, I agree. I think I've mentioned it a couple of times is, you know, because there's this whole big thing of, oh, I'm so spiritual, you know, everything's spirit and energy, and oh, just good vibes, you know. But the reality is we are living in a physical 3D world. That's our experience. Sure, we might, you know, the mind behind that isn't physical, cool, but we're still living in a physical reality. So to change that, we need to get out there and act, do, you know, make actions. We need to actually do stuff, you know. It's like, we're not going to end up in a world with, you know, self-sustaining permaculture farms everywhere with great food if no one goes out and builds a permaculture farm. This is the thing. And I think it's like you've said, we're just focusing on the problem. You know, the whole world is at the moment, and everyone's just, you know, talking, what should we do? What should we do? I think what we should do is not focus on the problem. We should focus on the solution. It's like Bucky Fuller said, you know, if you're going to build a new world, you don't focus on destroying the old one. You just go forward and build a new one. You know, it's
what I suppose it's always been, the programming for us has been that everything's been built on the remains of what was there before. Something comes in, destroys it, and you know that's our history, isn't it? Is that there was this age, and then this happened, and these people came in, completely destroyed it, and created a whole new system. And so it's been this. It's in the Indian or Hindu, you know, with Shiva.
The cycles. I mean, it's in most of those sort of old, you know, scriptures or texts. They talk about cycles and destruction. Yeah. So Shiva's like the cycle. So it's the end of a cycle and the start. So it's the destruction and the beginning.
So we have to be careful, because there are certain universal laws, universal cycles that, you know, have been going for thousands and thousands of years. And what are we going to try and break the cycle? Can we break that cycle? No. How do we break that cycle? We can't. We just have to realize that we're in that cycle.
We just have to tune into it.
And so the rest of it just take care of itself, won't it? We have to.
Well, this is what it looks like when we look into the old world. Is they were working with cycles, with natural energies, with you know, the energies that come off the stars and the wandering stars and all this kind of stuff. They saw it as the system it is. And this is the other thing, right? You know, if we're on a tennis ball spinning through space at 666,000 miles an hour, then we're not a closed system. You know, if the sun's out there and the moon's out there, they're not. How can they affect us? But all the writings tell us that they affect us. I mean, look at star signs. Hello.
Yeah.
You know, and all the different the wandering stars, which used to be gods.
But that's where people have lost. They don't use critical thinking, but they don't think critically about it. Like it's like okay. So we're flying through space, 666,000 miles an hour, going around the sun. That's going at, you know, however fast that's going.
Yeah, 1.5 million.
Spirit is spiraling
around the central star.
Orion is still aligned in the same place, and the alignments, all of the alignments on Earth. How many are there? Oh my God,
so many.
All the solstice alignments, the planet alignment, all of it, all over there. They're all still there. They're all still relevant. They all still match. They've not moved. Maybe a diameter, you know, a millimeter or an inch or so. But they haven't. They've not really moved.
They haven't moved anything. And I mean, if you want to go mainstream, they say the pyramids are 5,000 years old.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. Some of those alignments are 5,000 years old. So in 5,000 years, and we've been traveling as a galaxy at 1.3 million miles an hour through the universe, not to mention what we're doing inside of our own galaxy and all the star systems inside our galaxy.
The Sol Lewis
then the ones outside, the North Star, all of that. They've not moved in 5,000 years.
No, and that's and
we're traveling at 1.3 million miles an hour, and also we've moved from the Sagittarius arm.
Yeah.
Now we're on the is it the Orion? We're on the Orion arm or something of the galaxy.
I'm not sure, but we've gone through a change. I mean, we're in a different age, but nothing changed. What? As far as like
and how
does the stars and everything.
How do those cycles? How do the cycles of the horoscopes, they're the same every year and it doesn't change every year, but we're flying through space at 1 million miles an hour.
Well, how about this? What's a star sign, right? They tell us a star sign is, a group of stars that are completely unrelated. It just happens that from our perspective, they happen to make a shape.
Light years away from each other.
Yeah.
Light years.
They're not
light years away from each other
in the slightest, and then
all
more than that away from us. But they
all expanding out still.
Yeah, but
they affect your life, and also they haven't changed in 5,000 years.
Yeah, they haven't changed in no.
The distance
they affect
between
your
them
life every day.
Yeah,
I mean, we still say, oh, I'm a Virgo or a Leo or a Sagittarius. I mean, you would think by now we'd be down to bloody insects. We'd need so many names for the star signs because they'd just be changing.
Exactly. And it's like, well, when I was born, I was Virgo, but now it turns out I'm a Gemma Libra now.
Yeah.
Because Libra's kind of moved where the thing,
My star signs converged, man.
Exactly. So, they kind of did it where they introduced Orpheus or whatever snake bearer.
Oreophacus or something like that. Yeah.
So they introduced that 13th,
the 13th month symbol, yeah.
Which was interesting, right? When they did that, I just happened to be watching Battlestar Galactica.
Orpheocus,
that's it. I just happened to be watching Battlestar Galactica. Battlestar Galactica is all about the 12 tribes.
The newer one, where they, I haven't seen it, but I've heard about it.
And then they realized that there's a 13th tribe, the Lost Tribe. It wasn't ever spoken about.
Really?
Who are they? Who's the 13th tribe? Turns out the 13th tribe is the Cylons. The Cylons are the 13th tribe.
God, man,
and the humans are the Cylons. The five original, who are, what's his name, who is the first mate of the captain of the ship, Dharma, the chief, and then there's the chief engineer. There's, I forget who the other ones are. There's the guy businessman guy, and they're the original consciousness that created the artificial intelligence that became the Cylons that then tried to
the Cylons are the future version of the humans.
Yeah, and then they make the Cylons turn into completely organic. The only way that you can tell that they're not human is that they can't reproduce. But then one of them gets pregnant.
Oh, really? Oh, God. And this is all because they're out looking for a new planet too, aren't they?
Yeah, and when they find the planet, it turns out that it's the original Earth. Oh, so they can't stay there because it's radioactive. It's radioactive. It's like it's been destroyed previously. So the whole Battlestar, the remake, was they really went into the lore of the whole story, and it's very relevant.
Yeah,
it's very relevant.
Have you seen the new version of Brave New World? They did like I think it's a series on Netflix or something. But in that one, I don't think it's in the original one, but in that one, same thing is that their whole world was created by, I think it was 5 people as well. And they were all basically in stasis, sort of in this mind meld stasis thing. And they were the creators of this new sort of reality, but it was all, I mean, just makes you think, is there only like a group of us somewhere underground in a tunnel just thinking all this? You know, is that what the simulation is? God, who knows?
It's crazy, man. When I like my take on it with, you're living in a parallel universe. Like our universes are parallel to each other. They're not. It's not the same. Your universe is not the same as mine, because your perception of everything that's going on is slightly different to mine. So your reality is slightly different to mine. Not just because of your perspective, but because of your position. All of it. It's your universe unique to you
in our own little worlds.
And when my mum used to say it to me when I was a kid, you're not the center of the universe. The center of my version of the universe, because it's the only perspective that I have. It's my own. And so this is the universe, but it's my perspective and my perception of the universe, and it's not the same as yours. So obviously they're parallel to each other. And if they're both, if in both realities we're capable of creating things within our own reality, then they're both as relevant as each other. You know, they're well, my version of the universe is not is no better or worse, or it's different. That's all. It's different to your version.
It's life, which is creation and you know, perspective and everything, isn't it? Like, and this is the problem. Everyone wants to say that your version is wrong and my version is right. Where it's like that thing with colors. You know, it's like, how do you know that the color you call yellow is not the color that I call blue? You know, because there's no way that we would ever know.
But you're still seeing what you're seeing.
What I'm saying is different.
I would still see it as yellow, or I would still code it as yellow. But you, because you don't. It's
we're calling it the same name, but we're literally seeing a different color. Yeah, I mean, we don't know.
What we were taught. It's what we were, and it happens to be that for me, like the color never changes. The color is always the same, isn't it? But if I'm seeing blue and you're seeing yellow, but we're both calling it yellow,
we would never know.
No, we'd never know, man.
Never know.
Absolutely never know.
No.
I remember thinking that when I was about 10.
Yeah, I had that thought when I was pretty young too. I just thought, hang on, is everyone seeing what I'm seeing? And you just think how weird it would be if all the colors were different, but if you were there and that's all you ever knew, it would be completely normal. That would be your perspective. We just don't know. And you know, so this is, you know, people who have, you know, issues and things and go through, you know, depression and that, is because they're saying something different, right? Something bad. It's the same thing, but I mean, in the end, like you said, it still comes from being taught that that's what it is. It's like that, you know, the first time, you know, well, there's a sort of a story, you know, a boy was out and he saw this thing fluttering around in a tree and it had feathers and it made beautiful noise and all this stuff, and you know, he was, you know, in awe at it, and then someone told him it was a bird, and then he could never see that wonder again because he'd defined it. You know. Yeah. So it's a mental game, man. It's a spiritual warfare. We just got to be smart.
On every. This is the hardest thing about it. It's on every level that you can possibly think of. at any level that you could possibly conceive there being within this game, that's where they're manipulating, and that's where they're aware of all of those levels.
It's fractal.
They've got their finger, they've got their finger in all of it, because they understand they need to, if they want to be able to maintain the same frequency here and the same reality going on collectively. They want to maintain the collective perception of reality, so that it maintains the reality that they want, where we're slaves and they're sat there on their laurels, basically.
But, I mean,
rested on their laurels.
This is the thing. Just look around. It's clear that their story is breaking down. You know,
because it's built. I mean,
this is the thing. Everyone's sort of like, oh, it's a big plan and that, and as much as, you know, everything is physical, it is energy as well. It's based on energy, so we sort of perceive certain things, you know. So it's, I've got no idea what I was saying.
So the reason that is 7 Weimar. I love 7 Weimar, man. Inner standing.
That's the channel, is it? Inner standing.
Yeah. Inner standing.
I think I've seen that.
He I'll send you a link.
Yeah.
He was saying yesterday how the only way that they can get this to work, because they're using the energies, they're using the energy of this realm and us. So the only way they can do that is to plug into it. So they plugged into it. They can't destroy it.
Yeah.
They destroy it. If they completely destroy it, they destroy their system for. Well, all they've done is plug into it. They haven't created a replacement.
No.
There is no replacement. There is only this. There's only this solar system that's going on here. This they're using solar and lunar energy, basically. Because there's three. So there's three pillars, isn't there? The Boaz, Moaz, and whatever it is.
Boaz and Joaquin.
Left, but left, right, and the middle, and the middle path is that's the balanced path.
Balance, the right path. Yeah.
It's a narrow path, and you got a balance left and right to go down the middle. It's the same with astrology. There's three systems, basically. There's the lunar, there's the solar, and then there's this other one. I can't remember what it is.
Stars, no?
I can't remember. There's the lunar one. So there's the eastern one, the Chinese, and then there's the western one that we use, and then there's another one.
That's the real one. That's probably
the one that we should be using.
Santos Bonacci was talking about an astrologist in astrology the other day. I can't remember the name of it though, but he's very big into, you know, whatever they teach out there, it's wrong. It's not the truth. It's not the right way.
No, it's not. They only give you one side. They only ever give you one side. You're never able to see both sides and balance it. And
yeah. Oh gosh.
And I think that, you know, what I was saying about as as beings, for us to be able to function at all in this realm, from when we're born, the only way we can move forward is once we've learnt to balance. The only way we can maneuver our bodies and get around and operate in this realm is if we learn to balance. Balance our bodies, balance ourselves. That's what, you know, and sport and all of that, all those things. And we learn to balance ourselves. All right, yes, some people can balance better than others. Some people can stand on tight ropes and, you know, and balance on the edge of buildings and all of that, you know, where others can't. But that's only because of their mind. That's the only reason. It's not for any other reason than fear. Fear stops them from being able to stand there completely balanced. Because if they were stood on in the middle of a baseball field, they'd be able to stand there like this, no problem. But if you put them on top of a 30-foot pole, stood them on top of a 30-foot pole and said, just stand there like that, that you'd shit yourself. You'd be like, oh my God, Jesus Christ, don't get it. And you'd start to wobble, and let's say a windless day. You'd wobble because your brain would be thinking, oh my God, that's a 30-foot drop right next to me.
What if?
And you'd be thinking consequences, what if? And we psych ourselves out of things. But my train of thought is a little bit rocky, and I can't remember the point.
Fear.
Balance.
Yeah, balance, of course. Balance.
So we are capable, but the only way, like, the fact is that you're there. And you've lived for. I'm not sure how old you are. How old are you, dude?
That's a guarded secret. I'm 48.
48. So you're like 4 or 5 years older than me, man.
Yeah.
What were you? 72, 71.
72. Yep.
72. So you've been perfectly balanced for 48 years. Well, not for let's say for 45 years. You started walking when you were what, 18 months, 2 years old?
Yeah.
You started walking, toddling around. You don't get your real balance until you
can't run and do stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, until you're like 8, 9, 10, you're doing then, but I think that's only because we're not taught to. We're not put in those situations. Not until we start doing sports and stuff like that we're actually put in those situations. But if you're an active kid like me, I was running around climbing trees when I was 4. And
I was doing crazy stuff. I thought I was a $6 million man. I used to jump off roofs.
Look at that balance, man. Look at the balance that we've got, the control of our own bodies, and yet we're not taught how important that is, that it reflects into life itself. That in order to get through this life, you need to balance everything out.
Definitely. We've got 3 bodies and they all work the same way. So if we need to be balanced physically, then we need to be balanced mentally and spiritually as well. It's
emotionally,
yeah.
Emotionally balanced. I think emotional balance is the most important one.
Well, it's what we're missing the most, I think, for sure.
It's what's been attacked, definitely.
Yeah. The connections and stuff. Especially, in the last year, they've really gone hardcore on it because, physical connections, all this kind of stuff. So,
it's even deeper than that, dude. They're destroying franchises of like not just small franchises of business. They're Star Wars. They destroyed the Star Wars franchise. Last.
And the Marvels,
Indiana Jones.
Yeah,
Marvel.
They're trying to bring out a Indiana Jones now.
They're doing their best to destroy all of those childhood heroes that we had, those childhood narratives that and the hero
always wins.
And is always a particular type of man or woman or whatever. And now they're blurring all the lines, and they're destroying the franchises for us.
Well,
for younger kids,
hope,
who aren't attached, but for the younger generations that aren't emotionally attached to the storylines, that's not what's happened. It's been made relevant to them.
It's a new story, yeah.
And it's a new story for them, and they can attach to it in a different way. They've destroyed it for us, and this is the thing. They're so clever in that respect. They're destroying something here, but they're actually creating something new in their image for the next generation, which is they're the ones that they need to be focused on. They need to be focused on the kids, because
so do we.
We are all going to die. Yeah, we need to be focused on.
We need to be focused on the kids, man. It's blow up the TV. Remember they live. Go and blow up the TV stations, and turn the telly off. Don't go to the movies.
Well,
it's
unless
all script, isn't it?
The thing is, I don't think, because that again, I think we can go back to balance with that. It's it's not good to completely eradicate something. You need to just understand it. You need to realize it. You need to. So if your kid's going to watch a movie, you make sure that they understand it's a movie, and you try to, you know, if it's a movie that's going to make them feel a certain way, anxious or whatever, you make sure to undo that afterwards. Whatever that spell that was cast, or you make sure somehow, I don't know how you do it. I sit here and watch movies and still get.
Yeah, well, they're made like that, you know. I mean, when it gets down to it, we vibrate, you know, we're vibrating energy. So if they can manipulate that frequency, then they make us feel different ways.
Yeah.
You know, so it still does it. But I mean, the difference is when you come out of that, when you come out of the movie, then you know, oh, that was definitely just a movie. You know, you're not coming out sort of thinking, oh my God, you know, because people go in and if it's like government stuff, they'll be like, oh, there's all this stuff going on in the government. Oh my God, it's, you know, treating it like it's real, like when they watch the news.
Dude, do you remember? That you just made me think of this actually. I remember going to the movies, and you'd sit there for 2 hours, 2.5 hours, watch the movie. And then when you come out of the cinema, it'd be like, wow, where have we been for the last 3 hours? That. You know, it's like, oh, it's dark, or, you know, the lights changed or whatever. It's, you realize
it's in the middle of the day.
3 hours. Oh. For 3 hours, you've been hypnotized. You've been completely hypnotized, and you're just like, oh.
That's there was an early precursor to TV made by the Navy in the 40s, and it was basically a hypnotizing device, and people would just sit there and stare at it, and it would change their brain waves and things like this. Yeah. And that's where it came from. I mean, and we all know that the stories of, you know, the subliminals, you know, with Coke and stuff. Buy Coke, and everyone would go and buy Coke because it was flashed on to their subconscious, but they couldn't see it.
When we can't perceive anything faster than 24 frames per second, and we've got 60 frames per second going now. So
they can.
What are they putting into those extra 36 frames?
There could be like an extra movie playing behind the scenes, you know. We just don't know.
And that's played out in Fight Club, isn't it? Because Tyler Durden works in a cinema where he cuts in hardcore pornography into family movies.
Yeah, that's right.
Like one frame from a hardcore porn pops it into a movie. And I've actually seen that in, I forget what it was, but that's actually been done. That has been done. They've done that with stuff before. They've cut hardcore pornography.
No doubt.
Single.
You know, if you want to change the morals of a generation, you know, just whack some of that in some Disney movies, and because all it's doing is planting seeds. It's not, and this is how they do it. They don't come out and, well, they're trying now to tell us point blank, but you know, they plant seeds and they bring things into your consciousness, and then they start building on that narrative, and you start thinking, oh, because you've got a reference point of it, you start sort of, even if you don't know where that reference point came from.
If you think, so if you think about Disney, right? So Disney, and everybody's realizing now that Disney was just all about sex and sexualizing kids, and then you think, well, how did it, you know, what, why? And then I think, oh, how did I feel when I watched Aladdin? When I watched Aladdin, how did I feel? Did that make me feel sexual? Or, you know, the very, very first time that I watched Aladdin, I remember the very first time I watched Aladdin, I thought, Princess Jasmine, man, If I was a cartoon, I'd totally give it. Princess Jasmine was fine, right? And would make me think about, okay, you can't have sex with a cartoon, but if you were a cartoon, if I was a cartoon, I would totally fancy Jasmine.
Mm.
If Jasmine was real and there was actually a woman that looked like that, it would be scary as fuck. Because she'd look completely out of proportion.
Massive
Great big, huge, massive eyes, and a little tiny chin, and a little waist this big, and big hips, and tits. And then it'd be like, wow, because you look at that girl that's done herself like Barbie, and she's scary looking, man.
That chick, yeah.
She's scary looking. And the guy that's made himself look like Ken doll is scary looking. It's not attractive. You look like a freak. I'm sorry, not for me. My personal opinion.
Yeah.
But there's something about it in the cartoon that Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Jessica Rabbit.
Yeah, another one. Yeah.
I was only a teenager when I watched Jessica.
And that
Rabbit,
one blurred the line, didn't it? Because that was a cartoon in like with. Was it cartoons in a real world or a dude in a cartoon world? I can't remember, but
it was a mixture, wasn't it? They had cartoons in a real movie.
In a real world.
And it was what's his name? In a real world.
A short dude with name old head. I can picture his face.
Is it Bob Hoskins?
Yeah, I think it was.
I think it's Bob Hoskins. Something like Bob Hoskins.
Yeah. Yeah, but this is the thing, and they get them young, and they always kill the parents.
Well, always kill the parents.
Yeah.
Bambi,
Lion King,
kill the mother.
What's that other one? Finding
Kill
Nemo,
the mother, kill the father.
Yeah. I saw this thing on Lion King, and it was like, because in that movie, I can't remember the lion's name, but his uncle kills his dad and then tries to kill him, and he has to run away, and he meets Timon and Pumbaa, and they're like,
and Simba.
Yeah, there's this meme. It's like, oh my God, my uncle just killed my dad, and then he tried to kill me, but I made it and I ran away. Oh, can you guys help me? And they're like, don't worry, just don't worry. No, don't worry, it doesn't matter. Because that's exactly what they just walk around going,
don't worry, be happy, man.
Don't worry about a thing.
Don't worry, be happy.
Your dad got murdered, your uncle tried to kill you. It doesn't matter.
The thing is, though, the irony is that really nobody should be worrying. Nobody should ever worry about anything, because we should know. We should. If things were the way that we think that they should be, if these people weren't in control, if these parasites weren't maintaining this grip, and we were actually living to, if not our full potential, at least getting there, then we wouldn't need to worry, because we'd always know that it's okay. I'm going to be okay because everything's okay, man.
Well,
I'm going to be okay because everything's okay. It's like, if society was functioning properly, then I wouldn't have to worry, because I'd know that if I ever had any problems, then everybody around me would all rally together to help me. And if anybody else had any problems, I'd rally with everybody else to go and help them. And if everybody just helped each other instead of working against each other.
The thing about worry as well is it's not real. We have fight or flight. So if there's a bear trying to kill you, you can do something. You can run away. That's what it's there for.
Because the only time that matters is now.
Perceived. Yeah. But because in the now, exactly. Everything else is in the imagined future, which means it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And this is what drives.
And there we have another. There we've got another sort of trinity. So it's all about triplets, trinities, and so if there's a left and a right path, and we have to take the middle, then there's past and future and now. And they want us either always living in the past or always living in the future.
Yeah.
Worrying about the future or being ashamed of and
stressing over the past.
you know, stressing over the past and oh my God, reliving.
I should have done this better if only I had have done history. That. Yeah.
But with the, you know, like the whole
like George on Seinfeld, you know, that episode, he's like, I should have said this. And he goes and he writes his slide. He's like, yes, if I say that this time, then I'll win. And he goes and someone says something, he's got his answer ready. He goes, yes. And then they come back with something straight away. And he's like, no.
So we can't live always in the past or in the future, because whenever we're doing it, if we're sat there contemplating the past, when are we doing that? We're doing that now. We're contemplating the past, but we're contemplating it now. We're worrying about the future, but it's now that we're worrying about it. It hasn't even happened yet.
No.
And if we were to do things differently, maybe we wouldn't go there. Maybe instead of worrying about getting there, we should just do something to go there. Do something now, and we'll change our direction.
Have a bit of trust, you know, in the universe or whatever you want to call it, because this is the thing that lack doesn't exist. Like that's provably a lie.
That's where chaos came in.
That's all this stuff about money, you know. Oh, what if I run out of money? Well, if you trust that, well, look, I've got money, but I'm always looked after, you know. If this goes, some more will turn up, you know, or someone will give me a meal, I'll be fine. Then you've let go of that fear, and that's normally what happens. You're absolutely fine.
And you know what, dude,
turns up.
I've got first-hand testimony, experience of that
things
multiple times in my life. I've been made homeless 5 times now in my life. I've been on the streets 5 times now in my life, and twice in the last year, you know, during this pandemic. 3 times in a foreign country, in Portugal, in Spain, and here. And every time it's like, well, I get out, you know, something happens, or some things change. It's only ever a moment in time. Whatever it is that's happening, it's only ever, maybe the moment lasts, gets perpetuated. It gets perpetuated, and a lot of the time we end up perpetuating it ourselves. Our situation ends up perpetuating it, circumstances end up perpetuating it, whatever. But that, if you could link that to state of mind, and if you could say, well, if you were in the right state of mind when you were in that position, then that wouldn't happen, because you would have attracted the solution a lot sooner.
Yeah.
You would have recognized, you would have been able to see and perceive the solution a lot sooner.
Well, yeah. It's your RAS, your reticular activating system. It basically, it literally points out to you what you want. It's like that thing that when you want a new car, suddenly you see that car everywhere, you know, but they were always there, but you just didn't see them. So if you're focusing,
for me, it's when you got it. It's once you got it. When I got my first car,
and then you see them everywhere. Yeah.
The only time I'd ever got a new car, man, like off the showroom, and it's only because it was through my benefits, because I was getting disability allowance after my car accident, and I was on full disability because I was having to use crutches, and so I got a car, and I traded it in and got a car instead, a brand new, off the showroom, picked the color and everything, man. And then once we got it out of the showroom, that's cool. Everybody had one.
It's like, oh, such a unique car, it's mine. Oh my God, everyone's got it. And this is the thing. And if you were on the street thinking, this sucks, oh my God, it's all going to end, that's what your RAS would point out to you. But if you're thinking, oh no, good things are going to come up, you know, I'll be fine, something will happen, then that's what it'll point out. So it's the same circumstances. It's just what you're seeing, and that determines the choices you make. So this is the thing.
So when I was in Malaga, on the streets in Malaga, I had for some reason, I started off in Algeciras, and I hitchhiked my way up to Malaga, and for some reason, when it started in Algeciras, and I was out on the street, and I was like, "Ah, I'm homeless, and my car's gone, and all I've got is clothes on my back, and my guitar, and my phone." And I thought, "Hey, I've got my guitar and my phone, and I've got my leather jacket. You know, I've got enough clothes to keep me warm." And it sucked, man, because one pair of socks. I have to change my socks every day. I'm one of these people. I've got sweaty feet, and I have to change my socks every day. So yeah, like after 3 days, Jesus. After being on the street for 2 weeks, I was starting to look and smell like I was living on the street, and then people started crossing the road, and it started getting humiliating when you go to ask somebody a question about I wanted directions to somewhere, and they just like this across the street, because they assume that you're going over to ask them for money. But I wasn't asking for money. I wanted some directions. But anyway, I still felt good. I couldn't explain it. I was feeling like, wow, I've hit the rock bottom. But I feel really good. I feel really optimistic. It's like, hey, I've hit the bottom. That means that if I keep walking, I'm going to find a ladder. Yeah. I'm going to find a ladder. All I got to do is walk, and I'll find a ladder, and I can get out of this. And I was posting on Facebook, but I wasn't posting any woe is me. Nothing woe is me at all. I made one video about 4 o'clock in the morning. I was really, really tired. I was feeling really weak because I hadn't eaten for about 4 days. And I had to move. I'd found a spot, but I had to move because they were coming around and cleaning the bloody street. They clean the streets at 4 o'clock in the morning in Malaga. It's beautiful, but it sucks.
When you're living in the street.
Yeah. And I made a video just saying, yeah, it's really beautiful here, man. It's really beautiful, and I really appreciate what I've got and everything, but this does kind of suck having to just keep walking around because I can't stay anywhere because they're cleaning the streets, and I feel really weak because I haven't eaten, and it's cold, and that was the only video that I made where I was just like, yeah, man, this is great and everything, but it does suck a little bit. But what was happening was people were sending me Western Union and MoneyGram. They were sending me 20 euros here, 10 euros, 15, and sending me just somebody sent me 120 euros.
No.
And at that time, I actually had this other guy had attached himself to me, and English guy had attached himself to me, basically, and he was in the same situation. He had no money or anything, nowhere to live. And because he was with me, I was sharing everything that I was getting with him. Everything that I got, all the money that was sent to me, I bought food for both of us. And at the end of each day, there's beggars everywhere, all over Malaga. But there's two types. There's the ones that are really destitute, poor people. That's their only source of income. And then there's the others that are 6'2", 200 pounds, high protein diets, go in the gym, won't say what color skin they are, and they're obviously not in any, they're just like begging, they're just sponging, basically parasites. There was this old woman that used to come out, and she'd sit up on the corner. she must have been in her 90s, man. She had no teeth. She could hardly walk, you know. She was a proper old woman. And she used to sit there and sing. And she sounded like a cat being raped and drowned. It was horrific. The sound that came out of her mouth was terrible. But she'd sit there and sing for a few hours. And you know that they don't help the elderly out in the same way, and they don't help the disabled out in the same way in Spain as like in the UK. They don't get the same disability living allowances and all that sort of stuff. So I'd give her money whenever I had, you know, I'd got my coffee and my food and my cigarettes, and if I could afford a hostel for the night, I got a hostel for the night. And I'd give her what was left. And there was another guy that had a leg that his parents had broken when he was a kid, because he was a gypsy. His parents had broken his leg and set it funny when he was a kid to get more money, basically, and to get more money. And so he was still begging, and his leg was it was horrible to look at, man. It was really bad. But I gave him money. There was a Asian guy that was walking up and down with his trolley, and the guy was so ashamed. You could see like he was so ashamed walking up and down trying to find stuff in the bins. And he looked at me a couple of times, like caught my eye, but he never asked me for anything. Never asked for anything. And so like this one time this other guy was with me at the time. And it's when I'd been sent 120 euros. And so I got us a hostel for a couple of nights. And we got kebabs. We got 2 big kebabs. And I had 10 euros left. And I said, let's go. And I'd quit drinking in 2013. But I was like, stuff it, man. Let's go and have a beer. Let's go and have a beer. 2.50 a beer. That's 2 beers each. We're gonna have a couple of beers each, and you know, and end the night, have a good night. And then this guy walked past me like a few times, and while I was waiting for the kebab, I was like, "What are you gonna do? Drink that beer and just piss it up against the wall? And you don't even drink. You quit drinking in 2013. So why are you gonna go and have a beer? Look at that old boy over there. Bet he's got a family, mate. He could probably do a lot more." With that money, 10 euros could buy him and his family a week's worth of food, even if it's just rice, you know, even if it's just rice and bread and stuff. It could buy enough food to feed him for at least a few days. So why don't you give the money to him? And I made the decision while we were waiting. I got my kebab and said to James, like, yeah, change of plan. And I just walked over to the guy and gave him the 10 euros and came back and just like, what are you doing? So we don't need the beer, mate. We don't need to go and have a beer. If that's what if we've decided that this money is, let's go and piss it up against the wall. I'd rather give it to that guy so that he can eat than let's piss up against the wall. Mm-hmm. It was either a day or 2 days later, I got a phone call from somebody I hadn't spoken to or seen for about 18 months. And he said, Rich, I've heard about what's going on, mate. I heard about your situation. I'm living in Tenerife now, and dude, you'd clean up here. So I'm sending you 500 euros, get yourself a new wardrobe, get some food, and I'm buying a ticket, and we're going to fly you over to Tenerife, put you up on your feet. And that's what happened. He sent me 500 euros. I bought some new clothes. I bought a suitcase and a guitar, a case to take my guitar, flight case for my guitar. And he flew me over here 6 years ago in April, it was. Put me up he sorted out my accommodation for like the first 3 months. Gave me a car, sorted me out with a car to drive so I could get places and go and get work. But he tried to sort me out with a gig, but the guy that he was trying to sort it out with was a complete wanker. Mm-hmm. And so I didn't go down that route, and I just went off and did 3 gigs for people and got work really quickly and was up on my feet and wasn't taking anything off this guy anymore, and was up on my own 2 feet and sustaining myself within like 4 or 5 months of getting here, all thanks to this guy. And I swear that was like karma. That was like the universe saying to me, well done, mate, you've been 3 months here doing this, and you've been cool, and you get that 10 euros to that guy, good on you. And you know, and it helped me out. I remember thinking when I did that, when I gave the 10 euros to the guy, I remember thinking to, and when I gave the 5 euros to the granny and all that, I remember thinking to myself immediately after doing it, thinking, why did you do that, Rich? Not why did you do that, Rich? Asking myself, why did you do that? Did you do that because you thought, I have to do this because something good will happen because I've done it? Did you do it for repayment? Not from the person, but from the universe. Did you do it for repayment and karma? Or did you just do it because it felt right to do? And every single time, it was my heart, every time, that said, do this, and I did it. And then afterwards, I thought, oh, wow, that's really good what you just did, mate. That's really good. That's good karma. And then I'd go, oh, no, but I know it's good karma. Shit, is that why I did it? Did I do it for the karma, you know? And that's been my life, man, for the last God knows how long.
It's only the intention in the moment. It's the problem is when people go the other way and they do things to try and look good and try and get karma, you know.
Right, philanthropists,
you know, like
philanthropists as they exist now. Bill Gates, George Soros, the likes of those people. And you know, Bono and all these, setting up their charities and doing all of this. Oh, we're doing this. We're fantastic. We're helping people. Look
at us. Yeah. And if they don't tell you, there's always a leaked article that gets out, isn't there? He wouldn't say it himself, but here's 10 articles about it. You know, it's like,
well,
it's all crap.
I don't see, because if I would say if there is a real true philanthropist that exists out of those people, I'd say the only one out of those people would be Trump. But what I've heard about Trump could just be manufactured, man.
Oh, well.
Yeah, so I don't know. But I've heard from different sources, different interviews where Trump gave money to people to help him out, but he didn't do it directly.
Yeah, exactly.
Did it secretly through his business, like this family that basically they were jumped through hoops to find out eventually who it was that bought their house for them, because they couldn't find out who it was, and then it turns out it was one of Trump's companies that bought their house for them. So, and there was a black guy that had a mechanics shop or something, and he said that Trump had given him the money to start up his business, and when he got the money to pay him back, he went to Trump's office to pay him back, and Trump basically sort of tore it up and said, just get on, go and be successful. I can believe that. From what what we say about the energy, getting the energy from people.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I have to admit, as arrogant as he is, I'd still get good energy from Trump.
I agree. I don't, we don't know. But yeah, no, I mean, just look at how the other side, read and attacked. There's something that they didn't like about him. Clearly,
the fact that they attacked him so vehemently, it was such a concentrated effort. Yeah, because they've got nothing else to talk about, have they? No. It's ridiculous. We're halfway through. When did he win that election? When did he win that bloody election? When did he?
It's 100 days in now, so it's he was sworn in, wasn't he, in January or something?
January 20th, wasn't it? He was sworn in January 20th.
So
and still
months. It's
they're
just,
still talking about Trump.
you know, but it's the same thing. I mean, I hope that's all good and there's stuff happening, but you know, we've got to rely on ourselves in the end, you know. And if something else happens, it's a bonus. But you know, sitting back waiting for someone to come and save us is just acting like a child, you know, waiting for mummy and daddy to come home and fix the problem. That's
waiting to see it confirmed that it's happening on TV.
Yeah.
I think that's what a lot of people might be doing, is they're sitting here waiting for it to be confirmed that it's happened on the TV. And we've really, the only way it's going to happen, it's not going to happen on TV. It's not going to be publicized.
No, and even if it does, they won't tell us the right story. Just look what's been going on. It's just
oh, a couple of hundred people turned up to protest today in London, and they were like,
yeah, I saw that report, and then I actually made a video and put some of the footage in, because some of those shots, there was hundreds of thousands of people in them. Like, it was just ridiculous. And this is the thing, they're going on everywhere. If you watch Rupley, they're all through Europe. But
they're not going on here. I've got to say, they're not that's not happening here. It's not happening here. Because, I mean, let's face it, the people that own property here are middle class. They're the middle class that are being attacked. They're the ones that are being attacked. The middle class is being destroyed right now, absolutely decimated. But they're still programmed. They don't, because they're still completely reliant on the system. They don't understand that the system is rotten and is now cannibalizing them to make itself more powerful.
Basically, yeah.
Because that's what's happening, isn't it? Now the system is cannibalizing itself.
Yeah. It's they've spent the last, you know, whatever, 100 years, you know, changing fake money that's just bits of paper with painting on them for real resources. And we've gone along with it. So now they've got most of it. Now they're like, well, we think we want all the land as well. Time to give it back. Because we've only been renting it as well. You don't own the land. If you buy it, you don't
That's the
own
thing.
it, you know?
Yeah, that's the thing.
It's property taxes. You're renting it.
Yeah, and you don't own your house. No. You don't. The bank owns your house. The bank owns your bloody house.
But even if even if you've paid everything out, if you don't pay your land tax, they'll come and take your house off you.
They take that. Yeah, exactly. The house is nothing really. They just say, yeah, okay, well,
it's on our land. We don't
demolish that. Then we want the land back.
Yeah. Bad luck.
What do you want it back for? I don't know. we want to put a pond there.
It's too old. The columns are too big. It has to go. It's got like windows going in the ground, man. Come on, knock that thing over. What a wild world.
Cool.
Right,
dude. Thank you very much.
Good to talk, Ritchie.
Peace.
Talk to you soon, mate.
Namaste, dude. Talk to you soon.
Bye.